Four Republican presidential candidates are set to take the stage tonight in Alabama for the fourth 2024 primary debate. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis, former South Carolina Governor Nikki Haley, entrepreneur Vivek Ramaswamy, and former New Jersey Governor Chris Christie will get one more chance to sway voters before next month's Iowa caucuses and the New Hampshire primary. ABC News Deputy Political Director Averi Harper joins me now. Well, Averi, let's get into this. The stakes are high here, of course. How has the strategy of these candidates kind of evolved as we've seen the pool of candidates kind of shrink here?
Right. I actually don't think that the strategy has really changed all that much. For each of these candidates, they are far behind former President Trump when you look at recent polling across the board. And so for each of them, I think the goal has been to try and find some sort of moment that could help them gain traction on the campaign trail as we get closer and closer to when voters are actually going to be casting ballots. And so that's what I'm going to be looking for tonight as we see those four candidates take the stage.
So, of course, we were talking about the number of candidates obviously shrinking, Averi, here, but the stage will be smaller this time around. Curious, how much of a difference will this actually make?
Well, theoretically, fewer candidates on the stage should translate to more time for each of those candidates to speak. But it also could allow for more time for crosstalk, for arguments between some of those candidates on the stage. But I think that there will be opportunity for these candidates to differentiate themselves from each other, for more information about their policies and their platforms. But we'll see what happens tonight.
Of course, all eyes on that. And of course, former President Trump, he's got a commanding lead. We've seen that in the polls. We know he's not going to be on the debate stage once again tonight. Curious, at what point does he actually need to take part in these debates?
Right. Well, it has not hurt him. He has completely ignored this primary debate process. He has held counter-programming for each debate in an attempt to try and take attention away from the debate. Tonight is going to be actually his most subdued version of this counter-programming yet. He's going to be holding a fundraiser tonight rather than participating in these debates. But like I said, it has not hurt him in polling. He remains far out ahead of each and every one of these candidates. But again, anything could happen. We know that voters are going to start casting ballots early next year. So we'll have to see what those early contests look like.
Yeah, we'll see how all of this plays out. Deputy Political Director Averi Harper, stick around for us because right now I do want to bring in DNC Chair Jaime Harrison. Jaime, of course, Republican presidential candidates have criticized the president for being weak on foreign policy, right? Curious, what is your response to that?
Well, listen, Joe Biden has really brought America back as it relates to the foreign stage. Now presidents and heads of state look to Joe Biden and the United States. During the 4 years of Donald Trump, it was a mess. They took the U.S. as a joke. I remember the pictures of Trump overseas with some of the foreign leaders, and they're laughing behind his back. Nikki Haley, I know she likes to tout her time at the UN, but, the only Florence that Nikki Haley knew about was Florence, South Carolina. She had never traveled overseas when she got the role. And so instead of playing, we have a real leader who understands and know these world leaders, and they know him, and they respect him, and they understand that when he says something, that he means it. And so I think the respect for America has come back on the foreign stage because we have somebody with the wisdom and the experience and the relationships of Joe Biden.
Well, let me ask you this. President Biden said yesterday, quote, if Trump wasn't running, I'm not sure I'd be running either. He later clarified, of course, that he would still be running even if Trump dropped out. Jaime, curious, what is your message to voters who heard what he said yesterday and may be concerned that the president may not be all the way in on this particular race?
Well, we remember in 2020, President Biden got into the race because he said we're in the battle for the soul of the nation. Well, that battle still continues because right now we have a Republican Party, a MAGA Republican Party led by Donald Trump and his acolytes. You'll see them on the debate stage coming up. As I said the other day, it's a bag of MAGA apples and they're all rotten. And these people want to take away women's rights for reproductive health and to make their own decisions. They want to gut Medicare and Social Security. They believe in restricting voting rights in this country. And so all of the freedoms that we have, my 47 years of life in America, we were always making sure that we were solidifying the freedoms and our rights. But now, under Donald Trump, we saw for the first time that we have eroded those freedoms and rights, and we can't allow that to stand. And that's why Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, and Democrats are fighting hard to make sure that we finish the job and that we protect the soul of this great nation.
Sorry to jump back to the foreign policy angle here, but Muslim Americans, we know, are growing frustrated with President Biden over his response to the Israel-Hamas war. How can he win over voters who don't necessarily agree with his stance on this conflict?
Well, listen, the Democratic Party is a big tent party. We look like America, unlike the Republican Party. And so there are a lot of diverse opinions and a lot of diverse people who make up our party. In the end of the day, folks need to understand that this is about a contrast. Joe Biden believes that all of America's people should have the right to live the American dream, whereas Donald Trump wants to do a Muslim ban. He wants to create second-class citizens in this country, and that's not what you're going to find in a Democratic administration. We haven't done it under Joe Biden, and you won't see it in a next 4 term.
And Jaime Harrison, hang with me for a second, because Averi, I know that you wanted to ask Jaime a question as well, so let's bring you in.
Yeah, I definitely wanted to ask about some key voting blocks for Democrats. Look, we have a team of reporters who are out talking to voters every single day of the week across the country, and we found that there's a real lack of enthusiasm on the part of young voters, on the part of voters of color for President Joe Biden. How are you all going to be tackling the concept of voter apathy in the election year?
Well, Averi, we're going all around the country making sure that we're talking to the voters that make up the coalition of the Democratic Party. I've been doing barbershop tours. I've had sit-downs with Latino men and black women and Latino women, the AAPI community, all of the folks that make up the tapestry of the nation, but the coalition that makes our party strong. And we'll continue to do that. We also have just seen that the president's campaign has committed $25 million in new ads specifically targeted to the very diverse communities that make up our party. And so that's the first time we've ever seen that type of investment so early on in a campaign. So we're not taking anybody for granted. We're going to make sure we fight for everybody's support. And in the end of the day, that contrast between Donald Trump and Joe Biden is going to be the one that people will make and go to the ballot box. 80 million people voted for Joe Biden in 2020, and we believe that they will come back again in 2024 because they understand that their freedoms are all on the ballot.
DNC Chair Jaime Harrison, Averi Harper, thank you so much for joining us.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.